right. Hagler is still rankled at the cancellation 2 years ago by Hearns. They train differently. An old-time fighter, Hagler. He trains at Provincetown on Cape Cod. Then he went to Palm Springs and closed his workouts to the public. Hearns came into Miami Beach and then moved right in here to Caesar's Palace and had open sessions. In fact, he led Arabic dancing in the ring with 6 beauties there. It sort of reminds you of Muhammad Ali in his training days. But they're all set now. They want to get to it, and we're going to get right down to ringside to Al Michaels and Al Bernstein.
All right, Kurt. Well, everybody's been talking about it. Hearns has certain hand speed and the jab and power and all of that, and Hagler is more resolute, and there are a million different factors involved here, and that's why there's been so much talk about who will win. For each man to win, what has to happen? What's the key for each man?
I think for Thomas Hearns, he wants to establish his jab. It's very important, and be able to drop the right hand in. He thinks that he can do that against Hagler, and he thinks that he can keep Hagler on the outside by doing that. For Marvin Hagler, the key is to get by that jab, not just get by it, but get inside and then work to the body of that man, Thomas Hearns, and then eventually get to the head. I think the wild card is, will Marvin Hagler switch to righty effectively? If he does that, it might be the key to a victory for him.
As is customary, it is the challenger who enters first, since it is Hagler's title. Even though Tommy has won 2 titles, he does not own the middleweight crown that he seeks tonight, and thus he is the first to come in. And the long wait is over, as accompanied by the entourage. He is out of the dressing room and about ready to enter the arena. He's been lighthearted, basically. Kurt talking about the aerobic dancing and bringing folks into the ring and the open sparring sessions and open workouts. Quite serious right now, though, is Thomas Hearns.
And appropriately entering the ring to hail to the victors the Michigan fight song.
Still not in view of most here in the arena yet is Hearns, so no response as yet, but very shortly he will be approaching that part of the arena here at Caesar's Palace just about now, where they are beginning to take notice of the entry of Thomas Hearns as he comes down the aisle.
The second time Thomas Hearns has had this kind of situation. The last time, of course, against Sugar Ray Leonard. He hopes this turns out differently.
Now he's spotted. Up the steps he comes, and into the ring he comes. Thomas Hearns. The only loss, of course, to Sugar Ray Leonard back in 1981, a fight in which he was ahead.
He had shown his boxing skills in that fight against Leonard, and many think they may come into play tonight. If Hagler would hurt him early, as Leonard did, that man, Thomas Hearns, has the speed to get on his bicycle and duplicate what he did against Leonard, at least for a certain portion of those fights. He'd like a first-round knockout here. He says he'll do it in 3. We'll see.
Took the ram out in 2.
After the fight, we will have it in it.
Thomas Hearns in the ring and awaiting Marvin Hagler, who loves to, among other things, make people wait.
He is renowned, as you see, the very able corner of Thomas Hearns. And you know, when he fought Sugar Ray Leonard, Al, there was criticism of Emmanuel Stewart. Normally a very calm corner for Thomas Hearns. On that night, the most pressure-packed of his career, there was some chaos in that corner. Emmanuel says, we learned from our mistakes with Leonard, and we feel we've got it all together now.
I'm curious as to the response when Hagler comes in. I thought it was sort of muted in a way. There was some cheering for Hearns, but nothing outrageous by any stretch of the imagination. Could just be a muted crowd right now. We're going to find out.
It's possible, or in fact, Hagler is the favorite of the crowd. Yeah. Which would be odd, considering that, as you said, the betting money is switched back and forth. And if you talk, as I said, if you talk to any 10 people, you're going to find 5 for Hearns, 5 for Hagler. So it's been a very divided group of people here in Las Vegas, and I suspect around the country as well. Here he comes.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler, out of Newark originally, now Brockton, Massachusetts, coming in to a mixed response. One theory is, for those who think Hagler will win, they say maybe this fight means a little bit more to Hagler than it does to Hearns. It means a lot, obviously, to both, but that theory goes that Marvin feels he'll never get the respect he's due unless he beats Thomas Hearns.
And he is, of course, chasing the record of Carlos Monzon, looking for the 14 consecutive title defenses. He has 10 now. He's shooting for number 11. And indeed, the response to Marvin Hagler seems to be a little bit more than Thomas Hearns.
It is. It is. A bigger hand for Hagler coming in, for what that's worth, than for the headman.
When he came in against Roberto Duran in his last big fight, it was just the opposite. So perhaps Marvin Hagler finally getting his due from boxing fans who on occasion have been indifferent to him.
Bob Arum, the promoter, called him the Pete Rose of boxing. Hard-working, resolute, single-minded, 62-2. The two losses early in his career, both in Philadelphia, both avenged, 50 knockouts.
And it's been a long time since he knew what the word defeat was. Only the draw with Antifermo, any kind of stain on his record in recent years. And he certainly avenged that draw. A look at the tail of the tape, it tells you what you know probably already about the big reach advantage, the height advantage for Thomas Hearns, and that's a key element in this fight. But for Marvin Hagler, he expects to get inside against Hearns, and if he doesn't do that, could have a long night.
Can he possibly win if he doesn't get inside?
Well, he could if he catches Hearns on the end of one of his punches, perhaps a left hook. I think that's where him switching righty becomes a key factor. From the outside, I think he's much more effective as a righty. The common opponents, an indication there that Hearns, perhaps with more power, but Marcos Geraldo was not the fighter he was against Hearns that he was against Hagler, and that knockout of Duran. So you can look on and on. The number of punches, these are two fighters who will throw a lot of punches tonight. You see Marvin Hagler throws a lot. He's got a good jab, good combination puncher. The same is true of Thomas Hearns. Look at the number of punches he throws. A lot of left jabs snaking out there.
So the pomp and ceremony still taking place. We're going to have the national anthem shortly. Al, here's the difference now. From Nevada, we go to WBC rules.
And these will change somewhat. 10-point must system still in effect. There is no 3 knockdown rule. There is no standing 8 count. You saved by the bell only in the last round. Again, the 3 judges will score the fight. International judges, the referee, or the ring doctor can stop the fight.
Right now, let's go to the ring and Chuck Hull.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would direct your attention to the lighted tower, the Fantasy Tower at Caesar's Palace, just to the northeast of us, and you will see unfurled the largest American flag